from life, from the terrain of life. But like sometimes we can be too narrow in our thinking, and we can be really ego driven. But actually, like that's also part of life. That's a face of life that like we're all responsible for doing that sometimes. But there's something about like putting it in the context of like, and when someone does this, like kills and we don't know who did it, or like learns in an egoic way so that they can do, whatever that might be. There's a collective responsibility for that, and to hold that person of like, so maybe there's like what I first think about is like, is there a social context in which we've collectively created where a person would feel the need to do that, or are there ways that like collectively we can be present and in relationship with each other and call each other in when we're having those moments of ego-driven pursuit.
I'm reminded of, in hearing your reflections, that a Hasidic take on this word lishma is that they kind of, as playful as I love that they are with words, they see it as two words, which is l'shem hey. So for the sake of hey being five, five representing could be the 5 layers of consciousness, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yichida, or it could be the 5 utterances, the motzot hapeh, the 5 utterances, like the a, e, a, o, u, right? Like both of which I think, whether you want to take it from that sort of that place or the place of the 5 levels of soul, both to me represent that which connects everyone. Everyone has, whatever language you're speaking, however many languages Torah, whether it's 70 or who knows how many Torah conceived of languages being in the world, are the ones that we know exist today and have existed throughout time. So many languages contain similar sounds, and there is something that connects all humans in their capacity for language and for expression, or in our capacity to access like certain realms of our consciousness. And when something is l'shem hey, for the sake of 5, it's for the sake, maybe, of focusing on that which unites and connects all beings.
Okay.
So when a Torah is lishma, it is for the sake of that which unifies and actually underlies all humanity and beyond. And when it's lo lishma, there's something which is creating a separation, a hafradah, between the individual and an ability to perceive and to be in touch with that oneness. And I think we've both kind of been naming it that can often be the ego. That our ego constructs, however you want to understand it, and I want to maybe for a different video go more in depth about what we mean when we say ego, because I think it can mean different things to different people, but there can be an inborn force which can serve to protect and to disconnect, and to be a source of disconnection between the self and the oneness that includes the self.
That includes the self.
And that way it makes me understand this sort of like leaning into the way in which this collectivization process that you are so beautifully articulating from the incident of the Egel Arufah, that the elders of the town who would enact this process kind of understood that like we're all involved. No one is separate from anyone else. We can't abdicate responsibility because ultimately we are all one. And so we need this ritual in order to announce emphatically that we recognize that separateness is an illusion. Even when we don't know who is specifically deserving of justice for this act, for this situation of a killing, we are all involved. But when something is not able to bring us to that understanding, there's a killing. We sort of are cut off from the source.
Yeah.
We're cut off from the root. And the Hasidic masters have often said, and even I think earlier in the Hasidic masters would say, that which cuts us off from the root is that which induces a kind of death. And now we're back to the Samba of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh man, topic of ego though. There were some ways that you were saying, that you were talking about, that were inclusive of it, but one thing I want to a reframe of like egoic consciousness. It's not necessarily like an illusion of separateness, because also like in that realm, that's real.
Sure.
So it's not that it's an illusion. It's just not the whole
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that
Yes.
was a learning. There's a lot of teaching that are like in my own journey have been really valuable of like move beyond ego, or like trying to get rid of my ego, and how like it was
Totally.
it was a really big thing to realize, like, wait a second, like I am Zo, like that's real, that exists, and I'm in this body. I'm like a breathing expression of the divine that calls itself Rachel, and that's important for some reason. The infinite, expansive oneness that a lot of folks call God, like, wants to animate and call itself Rachel, to do something that's like mine, to listen to and to hear. And that's like, I think, like within the 5 layers of the soul, of like that's embedded in it. And I don't want to get into like details of like where I think it is within there, but it's like part of it. But if there's a way to, like, I think, to hold that enough to know that there's like also the rest of it, I think that was also like a big learning with like, like the school of psychedelic journeying, of like, I remember having experiences of like, wow, of like, that really felt like remembering of like these like, for lack of a better word, like infinite realms, or like remembering of like, there's a place where consciousness dwells between lifetimes. And even as I'm saying that, like, they're just fucking words, but these experiences that have like a profound remembering. And I remember like when I had those experiences of feeling like I was really curious to go back there and to explore. And then there was like a realization in my development of like, if that place is infinite, I'll be there again. And for whatever reason, I'm here. And I really want to focus on being here. Like, okay, so that's there. And what learning is there for me here? And like, how can I take my Torah and my, like, consciousness to direct it to make sense of this realm here? And I think I'm noticing that even in like the questions that I have, or the way that I'm trying to take in and relate to this text is like, oh yeah, that's where I am. And it's not that like where I am is the place, like we're all can be all the places, but
for sure.
But it's where I've been intently for some time.
Wow, so much more to say, but I feel like we should maybe.
Do you have a ritual for wrapping up?
No, not yet. I think maybe we could experiment with some rituals for sort of like closing. Do you have any suggestions?
Maybe we can just take a minute to kind of like let the Torah settle, and it'll continue to like have like a slow release process. It's like, you remember what you heard, what you thought about as time goes on, and we both will too, but maybe we could just take a minute to sit still and let the Torah land, and invite you to join us, to just like take a moment to sit still and let the Torah land. Notice where it is in you. Do you have any physical sensations, or are there any parts of you that are holding? Are there thoughts associated with that, emotion associated with that? And just take a minute to tune in and check in.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Benny.
Thank you all for joining us in the Sandbox once again. And we'll be back again soon for more play and exploration in Torah.